So we just pulled onto this site and we wanted to walk you through a couple considerations for placing your camper. You need to make sure that obviously both sets of stairs are accessible. And the big one is around the back. You want to make sure that you're not 4 feet away from a fire pit where you're going to crank up and it's going to cook the rear tire. So we're going to be moving ours forward just a little bit, but then continue around with me and I'll show you another consideration. You have your septic that has to be within 10 feet or so of this location if it's on-site septic. Your electrical cord, now we have a 25-foot electrical, so that's going to reach almost anywhere. And your water, we have 2 hoses that can reach almost anywhere. But the issue with the electric and things like that is that this is a 4-foot slide. This is roughly 4 feet. And you need to make sure that you're not going to knock the electric meter over with the slide as you come out. You can't extend the slide 3 feet and just feel like you don't need as much space, because it seals when it's closed and it seals when it's open, but in between it's not sealed, which means the air and bugs and everything can go right in, around, and into the camper. So it needs to be fully open or fully closed. We know that we are bringing the camper 2.5 feet forward because of the fire pit issue. We're going to do that, and then we will level the camper left to right, and the spot that it's going to sit, then we'll move it forward or backward another foot or 2, put the leveling blocks in place and pull up onto it. But you always want to make sure you level it in exactly the spot that it's going to sit. Okay, we're just about ready to start the leveling process. At this point, I sort of flip all these open. There's a magnet. These 2 front sides each have things that we use, so I open them all up. This 4-foot level is going to be on this side usually, or the other side. The first thing you want to do is hop inside here, and we're going to level side to side across, not front to back, but side to side. And the way we do that is you lift one side, that's the side that seems downhill, until the bubble centers. Let's see. This lot is very unlevel, and get an idea of how high this side is off the ground. It's like 3 fingers in 4 feet. Our camper is 8 feet, so it's 6 fingers. It's 6 fingers out of level. So we double whatever that space is. We're going to need 6 blocks to bring the camper level. All right. The yellow block is always going to be on this side. Make sure, because we're going to be moving the camper again, you don't forget to put the steps back up after you went in there to level, or you will drag the front steps off the camper. Come around to the low side with the blocks. Well, that's going to be really tricky. That means this many to get level. So we used a combination of our blocks and some 2x that we have in there, and we have other ones as well to make something that would bring it up level. You can't level just one axle because of the way the suspension is. One will go up and the other one won't, just for driving purposes. So you have to bring both wheels up that same amount. So now that that's up, we're going to show you the next part that you need to do. All right, on this side, driver's side, you'll find the wrench and these 2 contraptions. This is the very first thing to put on. You'll see my tow vehicles. I even have it still running because I'm not going to unhook from it yet until I get this done. So these go in here, and if you pull it toward you and it's clicking, it's in the loosen position. So then flip this over and pull it towards you. It shouldn't click, lift it up just a little bit, especially if this one's really open. You want them to all sort of evenly hit the tires at the same time. That makes sense. I hold them to the left where these are both touching, and then the gap is the same. It makes it easy to hold in place. Just kind of ratchet this, and there you go. Now there's some tension, so now we're going to crank it nice and tight. That's tight enough. Very firm. Okay, let's take this on the other side. Do the other one. Okay, same thing on this side. Hold it to the left or the right. Keep the gap here roughly the same. It just makes it easier and quicker for it to stabilize. What this does is it clamps the wheels against each other so that the trailer cannot roll down the hill. This is very important to do before you unhook it from your vehicle. I leave this tool on the X-Chock, it's called, so that we know where it is when we go to undo things. You can even flip that little lever down, put it in the loosen position, and then you're ready to go when you undo. Now you can unhook it from the tow vehicle. We'll show you how to do that. Okay, we come back over to this driver's side. We're going to get a couple tools and a block. This block goes underneath the jack, and this is the power jack. You're going to turn it on, and you're going to push down on the other. Actually, you're going to lift up on the other switch to extend the jack. And we're just going to get it close to the block, and then we'll make sure we center it up perfectly just before it touches. So run it on down. Okay, as soon as you make contact, just stop. This is a good time to go ahead and unhook your power from your vehicle. And since we have the X-Chocks on, we're good to unhook the safety chains from your vehicle. Do not unhook this. First, we have to relieve the pressure off the sway bars. We're going to lift the vehicle and the trailer together to relieve the pressure on these. Hook this in the cotter pin and use your hand to knock that out. Use this tool to pop that out. Keep clear of this in case you're at an angle and it wants to pitch out. That could smack you in the shin and hurt you. Tap that and it's tight, you need to come up further. And when it's loose, you can stop. You lift this up, pull this silver tab. These are kind of heavy, so I'm going to jiggle them around and let them slide on out. And we store these over here in this side for the duration. Then you're going to take your pin and your keeper, put them back in exactly the same way they go so that you don't forget. If you put them in this way, you might forget what they are supposed to do, but they hold the sway bar in place. So we like to put them back in there the same way. Careful stepping over this. It's really up high now. Same thing, you're gonna hook the cotter pin, pull this, and this one you're gonna notice is already loose because we did the downhill side first. So that one's nice and easy. Let's go ahead and take that off and chuck it underneath in that direction. You're not gonna hurt that piece of metal. Put the keeper and the cotter pin back in. These are easy to lose and you can't drive with these missing. So be sure to put them in right then. We're gonna go down. Again, we raised it only to take the pressure off the sway bars. You're gonna go down, take the pressure off the ball. So you want all the pressure off that. You want this to be loose from the wood before you try to unhook this. Just like that. Now, this should come up and back. That means it's loose from that. I'll come over here and go up again to disconnect from the tow vehicle. Usually won't ever be up this high, but it's because the lot is sloped, kind of humped like this. This happens to be like a high point, so we have to go way up high. And now what we're going to do is pull our tow vehicle out, and this will be how we level the trailer from front to back for us to use it. So I'm going to leave this right here and pull my tow vehicle out. We're going to level the vehicle, the camper front to back. Now, a couple things. Open this door all the way up before you lower the stairs, otherwise this will catch this and it can rip the screen open. Then this blue thing pulls in while you lower the steps. All right. This just works out, but these are adjustable as well. I think you can figure that out. You just need both of them to be on the ground and you don't want it jumping around while you're using it. We're going to level the vehicle front to back. We don't level it on the tongue because the trailer can twist sometimes when it's on a an incline or something. So we'll leave this in. This means that we're going to come down roughly, let's see, 8 inches or so. There's like 2 inches. It's a 30-foot trailer. Where the best idea is just to have leave this in here like this. Lower it a few inches, come back and see the difference. Keep lowering until the bubble is perfectly between these two spots. So we're going to lower the tongue until the camper is level. I'm thinking, you can sort of tell what looks level. Come down real close. Let's check it. Still too high in the front. You can see the bubble is floating up, so the bubble always shows the high point. Okay, so now our bubble is perfectly level and we are finished leveling the trailer. Make sure we put this tool away in here. Also, don't drive around with this. They're extremely expensive and they might walk away if you go to the store with it in there, so we would prefer that you pull the pin, pull the cotter pin, take this whole thing, it weighs about 65 pounds, set it in here. You can roll it over on its side if you want, that way it'll be out of the way. And put your pin in your cotter pin if it's yours. If you're using one of ours, just leave it in the storage area. Just kind of a little note. Take a look. We've leveled this trailer perfectly. This thing is completely useless. It's a cheap add-on thing to plug up something on the jack. Don't even pay any attention. We should put probably a piece of tape over it. But do turn the jack off. Here you go. Click. In sight. You don't want to trip and fall over things. Take all these extra blocks and things like that and keep them under the camper while you're here. Same thing with these kinds of things. Real easy for people to fall and hurt. Stick them underneath, but keep them in front of the wheels. Don't put anything behind the wheels because that's where all of our septic system stuff is, and we don't need anything interfering with that. Now come to the utility cabinet. This is the only door on the whole thing that doesn't have a magnet because there's a window here. Don't do this and then let go and lean in because it's not stuck to anything. Here's your rubber gloves that you can use when you're dealing with the septic. And this is the electric cable. This thing is very stout, so be aware. We're going to hook this up to shore power, which is what we call the power that the campsite supplies. This is for 50 amp right here. It matches this side. 30 amps over here. Some older trailers and even some newer ones only have 30 amp service. Ours has a 50, so you can run everything at once. If you come to a campground that only has 30 amp, we have an adapter that fits that, and then this plugs into the adapter, but you still only have 30 amps. So almost everything runs on 30 amp, and you'll find that you usually have to turn on the breaker for 50 amp or 30 amp when you get to a site. So we have power there, and now we're just going to hook the other end up. You're nice and close. Good, you don't have to run it all out. You can just kind of leave it coiled up a little bit if you want to. This is the power. It goes in a little bit off to the left. Then it squares up. This threads on, but it likes to thread on crooked, and if you force it, you'll booger up the threads and it won't work correctly. So I like to go counterclockwise for a second, make sure that it's level on the threads. There you go. You hear that little click, and then gently do this with your hands so that you're not cross-threading it. And if you look straight down on it, it'll look off, but if you look straight down on it, the camera, you'll see that that little green light is lit. That means we have power to the camper. Okay, this is your water hose. This little springy fitting stays on the filter. And you connect where it says city water connection. This just pulls off. It's a protective cap. And then this threads. It's a regular garden hose fitting. Just thread that in. It's normal for this to hang down. That's what it's made for. Okay, then you want to just untangle this. You put shore water to the camper. You can come in here and make sure you double check. Make sure you double check in the bathroom and turn off this water pump switch. You don't need the water pump on if you have pressurized water coming from city water. Make sure you put this bottom step down. Your last thing to hook up is your septic. It's in here. We keep a box of rubber gloves, nitrile gloves. Please use them while you're doing anything with the septic, your own health. This is only something you're going to do in this way if you have on-site septic, which is this thing right over here. Very, very simple. There's a bin in here like this. There's little spare parts and things. And we're going to use this little elbow. This elbow goes here. If you're lucky, the threads aren't boogered up or anything, and this threads right on here. Nice. This turns even when, and this maintains a swivel, right? So you can tighten that sucker up. Don't go too crazy. We don't want to break that. Now we have a sealed fitting right here to the septic tank. Right here is your septic hose. Pull that out. There you go. Now, walk over here with this. This is going to shoot out, so don't be too close. Don't smack yourself with it. There you go. Unhook your fitting here. Make sure these are both pushed in. Get a good view under here. Make sure both of these T-handles are pushed in. That's as far as they go. Unturn this. You shouldn't have much of anything coming out of here, but every once in a while, a little bit leaks. We rinsed the septic tank before we moved it, so there's a little bit trapped in there. Hook that on. Go over here. Put a little bit of, so if it's like this and you go to tighten it, it's not really, it wants to come loose. See, so always back pressure the hose so that it wants to stay tight. Now, if you're on shore septic, you come over here. The left handle is gray water, which is everything that goes down the sinks and drains and stuff, everything but the toilet. Pull it out. Now, you don't have to worry about running out of space in the gray water tank. However, your black water tank you need to leave closed until it fills or until you leave. And we have a whole nother video for how to deal with that when it leaves. But if it fills while you're here and you're renting for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, you'll simply come out, pull this, wait a minute or two, it'll stop flowing, push it back in. Do us a favor and put a few gallons of water by just filling the toilet bowl repeatedly and flushing it into the tank before you start putting it in service again, so that the tank will stay clean. And we also have some pods you can throw in that will keep everything dissolved and working properly. If you have any questions, you can always text us or call us in the middle of things to make sure it's done right. We don't mind. So now that we've leveled everything, brought that front end way down, our stairs are not level. You can see they're like slid forward, and that's just annoying. Let's push this out with your finger. Push the other one out. Slide one in. Slide the other one in. Probably hold them in if you can until you can eyeball them in level. And then pin one or the other first. Just lift up a little bit and this will slide out, and then you can push the pin in with your hand. And then the other one. There, now nice and level.